ისლამის დამარცხების შემთხვევაში დამარცხებულ ისლამთან გირჩევნია თქვა შემდეგი ბრძოლა თუ პირობითად გამარჯვებულ ცარუკიენთან.
ისლამი თუ დამარცხდა დაბრუნდეს დაღესტანში, თავის ფერმაში. თუ მოიგო კიდე წელს ხო? უცარ. თუ მოიგო კიდე აუცილებლად ავალწევით, აუცილებლად 100%.
You said that you're ready to go up a division. There's a tweet from Ilia Topuria that he can go up the weight and he can beat you with no problem. What do you think about that?
Не знаю, еще столько соперников, и все хотят меня там в первом, во втором раунде финишировать, все говорят об этом. Но я же сказал, сделайте 70 килограмм, заходите в клетку. И посмотрим, кто кого финиширует там.
There's all these opponents, they all say they want to finish me in the first or second round. I already said, if you can make 155, you can get into the cage. Let's talk about it then.
The tension between Islam Makhachev and Ilia Topuria just keeps getting hotter. And what started as a few verbal jabs is quickly turning into one of the most talked about rivalries in MMA. With each interview, post, and public appearance, the story grows. Pride, dominance, and legacy now all on the line. Let's take a look at the latest twist in this storm between two of the sport's most confident champions.
Ilia Topuria, Islam goes down. Who you picking, Rory, if someone gave you 10K to bet?
Probably Topuria.
Really? How do you think you'll win?
Probably knockout. I think grappling to handle himself and want.
Yeah, someone told me that Islam walking around at 200 pounds.
Is he a decent sized frame?
He's a big guy. He's 6 foot, 200
Is he really?
pounds. Yeah, he's a big dude.
So he's your size?
Yeah.
Ilia Topuria isn't holding back, firing another bold shot at Islam Makhachev as talks of a super fight continue to swirl. The Spanish-Georgian champ made it clear, if Islam loses against Jack Della Maddalena, he can go back to Dagestan and tend to his sheep, but if he wins, Topuria is coming for him without question. Confident and calculating, Ilia says he's almost done cleaning out his own division and plans to repeat the process at lightweight just like he did before. And if the UFC books it at the White House, Topuria believes it could be the biggest fight in company history and a once-in-a-lifetime clash for a historic third title.
ისლამის დამარცხების შემთხვევაში დამარცხებულ ისლამთან გირჩევნია თქვა შემდეგი ბრძოლა თუ პირობითად გამარჯვებულ ცარუკიენთან.
ისლამი თუ დამარცხდა დაბრუნდეს დაღესტანში, თავის ფერმაში. თუ მოიგო კიდე წელს ხო? უცარ. თუ მოიგო კიდე აუცილებლად ავალწევით, აუცილებლად 100%. ის 1-2 სახელი, რომელიც ახლა ჩემს დივიზიონში არის დარჩენილი, მაგათთან ბრძოლა და გამარჯვება, რაც მოხდა იმ ძველ კატეგორიაში, სადაც ვიყავი, პირველი იყო ვოლკი, მერე მაქს ჰოლოვეი, მერე არანაირი პრობლემა არ შევქმნიათ იმაზე, რომ უკვე წონა შემეცვალა. მგონია, რომ ან იგივე ფორმულა, იგივე მოხდება ამ წონაში. ერთ-ერთი ყველაზე დიდი ბრძოლა იქნება, რაც საერთოდ UFC-ის ისტორიაში შემდგარა მესამე ტიტულზე არავის არ უბრძოლია, რომ მგონია, რომ ანუ ძალიან დიდი მაგნიტუდის ბრძოლა იქნება, რაც
Topuria isn't stopping there. When asked where he'd want the fight to happen, he didn't hesitate to say at 170 pounds. In his eyes, that's the perfect scenario. Move up, beat Islam, and make history by claiming a third world title. For Ilia, it's not just about chasing greatness. Instead, it's about proving that his rise through the divisions is unstoppable, and that Islam Makhachev is just the next step on his path to becoming one of the greatest to ever do it.
And last one from me. Earlier today, Islam Makhachev did an interview and said he's not ruling out coming back down to 155. But if it was up to you, would you rather fight him at 170 to get that third title, or would you be willing to fight him at 55 because that's the division that people say he might be the best at?
It would be much better for me to fight him in 170, and I will beat him and get the third title. That will be the best scenario for me.
Topuria says that extra 10 pounds won't slow him when he goes to 155. It'll sharpen him. More pop on his shots, firmer footing, and energy that lasts for days, not rounds. He paints a picture of a fuller, more explosive version of himself who can land a single fight-ending strike without even needing to hit the chin, and who's stable enough to square up and wrestle if the moment calls for it. That confidence, power, balance, and a ridiculous gas tank, which is precisely why he believes he can can take out Islam.
So with this extra 10 pounds, how much better do you think you'll be able to perform inside the octagon? Because I would imagine physically, as good as your performances were, and they were spectacular, your body could not have been operating at 100%.
You are gonna see me at 155 that I'm gonna touch someone and I'm gonna take his lights out. I don't need to touch his chin. I just touch his head and it will explode. I feel so powerful at that weight class, so stable in the ground. Like, do you wanna wrestle? Let's wrestle. No problem. And I have the gas tank for 5 days, not 5 rounds.
Islam fired back at Topuria's talk with calm confidence, reminding everyone that even after beating Volkanovski twice, people still said he was facing smaller guys. So if he beats Ilia, he knows the same narrative will follow, but that doesn't bother him. And for Islam, this isn't about proving people wrong, it's about building a legacy. Moving up and claiming a second belt, he says, is the kind of achievement that speaks for itself.
Okay, I beat the Volkanovski twice. People still say, if you beat small guy, it's not your weight division. If I beat Topuria, it's gonna be the same. Everybody gonna talk same. But if I go up, takes a second belt, this is a legacy.
Topuria responded to Islam's comments with composure, saying he doesn't think Makhachev moved up to welterweight to dodge him. Instead, he moved up just to chase his own goals. Still, Ilia believes the matchup is destined to happen. In his eyes, if Islam wins gold at 170 and he continues to reign at 155, the stars will align. Whether it's him moving up or Islam coming back down, Topuria says the fight everyone's waiting for is inevitable, which is a collision between two champions carving out their legacies in different divisions.
This was meant to be Islam, that was the big talk, but he moved up to welterweight. Do you believe he moved up to welterweight to avoid you, or because he has his own goals?
Because he has his own goals. This is what I think.
Do you still think that's a fight that should happen? You guys are both forging legacies in different weight divisions. Do you think that's a massive fight that should happen?
We'll see how he does in the welterweight division. If he wins the title, I win the title in the lightweight division. Maybe I move up or he comes down to the lightweight division and we have the fight that everyone wants to see.
Even experts are buzzing with excitement on this potential matchup, and they have a lot to say about it, starting with Alexander Volkanovski, who came with a measured breakdown. He admitted it really comes down to one thing: can Ilia catch him? Volk believes Topuria's striking is elite, and his confidence in his boxing makes him dangerous against anyone. He's patient, composed, and always hunting for that opening to land the shot that changes everything. But Volkanovski also pointed out that Islam is no fool. He's defensively sharp and smart enough to fight safe against someone with Ilia's power. In his view, the later rounds would be tough for Topuria, but if Ilia traps Islam and connects clean, it could be lights out. Still, Volk says he hasn't yet seen Topuria tested in grappling at the elite level, and until he does, he's not convinced anyone can out-wrestle Islam Makhachev.
This comes to can Ilia catch him? You know, that's what is, and he definitely can. Ilia's very, especially with his approach, he really backs his strike and his boxing. He really knows that he will eventually find the chin, and he's stoic till that happens. You know what I mean? He is on task, and he doesn't, you know what I mean? He'll go, even if things aren't working, he's still going to try and find it. So I think Islam's going to be a tough matchup for him, because Islam can be quite defensive and safe. I think he's going to know he needs to play it safe with Ilia, because he knows Ilia's going to have that puncher's chance. But I just think them later rounds, you know, is going to be very difficult for Ilia. So, but Ilia can, if he puts hands on anyone, like if he traps them, you know, gets them where they don't want to be and lands a nice big shot, it's going to be game over. You know, I mean, he can knock out anyone, even in the lightweight division. But yeah, I just believe that probably would be his only chance, just from what I've seen, right? Like you hear about him having really good grappling, and you hear things, and you won't know till I see that at the highest level. So if he starts out grappling Islam or stop and takedown defense and things like that, then I'm going to be like, oh, okay, now I'm seeing something that I haven't really seen. So now then my opinion might change within the first round.
Adding to the discussion, Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson broke down the fight from a more technical angle. He pointed out the stylistic chess match between Islam's southpaw stance and punishing body kicks versus Ilia's orthodox boxing and knockout precision. Johnson doubts Topuria will risk catching those kicks to grapple, predicting instead that he'll stay patient, waiting to find that perfect perfect range to unleash his clean combinations. But that's where things get tricky, with Islam's ability to close the distance, use his judo, and dominate in the clinch could shift the entire fight. As Johnson put it, the real X factor will be who can establish control first, the striker or the grappler, and keep the fight in their comfort zone long enough to break the other.
I think it'll be an interesting matchup because I will give, we don't have to worry about, so Islam is very good about using his length and throwing the body kicks. So if he goes southpaw to orthodox, he's going to throw that body. Islam is a southpaw. Yeah, Islam's southpaw, and then I think Ilia Topuria is orthodox. So, Islam's going to throw that body kick, and are we going to see Ilia Topuria catch a kick and actually run for a takedown and start grappling with him? I highly doubt it. I think I agree with you. He's going to stay on task and try to get to that sweet spot where he can get the 3-piece combination, a 4-piece combination to try to knock you out. But then you got to worry about Islam's, judo, getting close, closing the distance, going to the clinch, looking to, use the sweeps. That's going to be, I think, the X factor. Who's going to be able to execute and get themselves in a safe place to be able to outwork the other guy? Can Ilia Topuria defend a takedown?
Johnson continued, comparing Topuria's skill set to one of Islam's most recent challenges, Dustin Poirier. He admitted Ilia might actually be the sharper boxer, though he's unsure if the power matches up. Still, he reminded everyone how Islam handled Poirier's striking, eventually dragging him into deep water and finishing the fight with a submission. That, Johnson said, is what makes this matchup so fascinating. Can Ilia offer something Islam hasn't already solved? But there's also a bittersweet reality. Both men are chasing greatness in different directions. If Ilia takes another fight at lightweight and Islam moves up to welterweight, this blockbuster showdown could slip away before it ever happens.
I feel like Ilia Topuria is a better boxer than Dustin. Does he have more power than Dustin? I'm not sure. We saw what Islam could do against a good boxer when it comes to Dustin Poirier. It took him a while to get to that, take him down, get the choke. It's going to be a sick fight. But when you look at what Islam's been able to do to some of the best strikers in the division, it's like, what can Ilia Topuria show something that's different? But here's the shitty, it could be a shitty thing is that if Ilia goes up and he fights for a number one contendership fight, which I think he should fight, maybe Charles, somebody, and then Islam fights somebody else, Islam can leave, the division, and we might never have that opportunity to see Islam versus Ilia Topuria because Islam has stated that he wants to go up to 170 and try to win the belt there. So there's a small opportunity that there's a potential we might not even see this fight just because they both want two different things.
Merab Dvalishvili also gave his take, and while he acknowledged how dangerous the matchup would be, he didn't hesitate to back Topuria. Merab admitted it would be a tough fight. Islam's wrestling and control always make things difficult, but he believes Ilia's power and striking could change everything. In his view, Islam would be forced to stand and trade, and that's where Topuria thrives. Confident in his countryman's skill and knockout ability, Merab said plainly, it won't be easy, but Ilia can finish Islam Makhachev.
Who do you think wins if Islam and Topuria fight?
I hope it's gonna happen. It's gonna be a tough fight for Ilia, for sure. Ilia make you either shoot him, which is he will stop, or no, Islam has to strike with him, and then striking, we all know how Ilia fights and how dangerous he is and how knockout power he have. So it's gonna be a tough fight for Ilia for sure, like every fight is, but I believe he can finish Islam Makhachev.
Bo Nickal shared his thoughts on the matchup too, and he didn't shy away from giving Ilia Topuria real credit. He acknowledged that Islam Makhachev is the current pound-for-pound #1, a dominant, complete fighter, but said Ilia's hunger for that fight is undeniable. What gives Bo confidence in Topuria is how well he believes Ilia's wrestling stacks up compared to Volkanovski's when Volk fought Islam. If Volkanovski could make it that competitive, Bo argues, then Ilia, with his sharper wrestling and heavy hands, could make things even more dangerous. After all, Islam's been hurt before, and against someone with Ilia's knockout power, that's always a risk.
I think he's the pound for pound #1 right now.
Let's see Ilia Islam.
He wants that fight bad, and I think he can win. Happen. And what makes me think that Ilia will do really well against Islam is Volk's first fight with Islam. I'm like, man, I think Ilia's wrestling is way better than Volk's, and obviously you could see how the striking went. And he's been knocked out cold before.
Rounding out the discussion, Coach Saif Saud offered a more measured perspective on the matchup, while he acknowledged the hype surrounding Topuria, and rightly so. Given that he's knocked out both Volkanovski and Max Holloway, Saud still believes Islam deserves to be the favorite. He pointed to Makhachev's performance against Dustin Poirier, where he didn't just rely on wrestling, but outboxed one of the best strikers in the division. Islam's southpaw stance, sharp footwork, and ability to control range make him a complete, composed threat. Saud added that while Ilia has shown flashes of solid grappling, moments against fighters like Bryce Mitchell and Youssef Zalal revealed areas where he's still untested. For him, Islam's size, balance, and all-around polish give him the slight but clear edge if this fight ever happens.
I think you've got to favor Islam, and I think the reason why I would say that is because Ilia has called a shot. You know, like, dude, he knocked out Volk and Max. I mean, you can't not. I mean, you have to look at that and give it credence. I mean, you cannot ignore it at this point. But what I would say is that Islam in his fight with Dustin, his ability to box and win the boxing. I mean, he won the boxing, right? I mean, it was a close fight, but he boxed Dustin, and that's really started to kind of separate him. He ended up, you know, with that beautiful takedown, but it was the boxing in between. And we've seen this before with him, his ability to strike and be very proficient from that southpaw position, use the hook to get outside, and use that straight left hand, really kind of steer the fight, counter box. I mean, he's really, it's impressive that he's able to do that. So I think that understanding of the footwork and where to be and not be, and if you watch a Youssef Zalal fight, you know, I know Ilia took it on short notice, but I mean, Youssef Zalal gave him a hard time in the grappling exchanges, and we've seen Ilia on his back a little. We've seen him in the grappling exchanges, not for long periods of time, but he's, you know, we saw Bryce Mitchell, you know, I mean, I just think that Islam, his size and his well-roundedness, I would put him as a favorite.
Now it's your turn. Do you think this fight will actually happen? And could it really go down at the White House? Who takes it if they finally collide? Islam's precision and control, or Topuria's power and pressure? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more updates and breakdowns from the wild world of MMA.